All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions. They really snuck by 31-26 at home against the Chicago Bears. 17 fourth quarter points. Aiden Hutchinson, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys stepping up. Jahmyr Gibbs making smart, elite level mind plays, if that makes any type of sense, in the fourth quarter. They did what they needed to do when they needed to do it, and it certainly wasn't pretty. It certainly wasn't sexy. They got out possessioned like 40-19. There were 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions from Jared Goff, 4 total turnovers. It was as slippery, it was as sloppy as a game could have been. But keep in mind, man, this is a divisional opponent in the Chicago Bears. Even though they were 3-7 heading into this football game, they are still hungry and they are extremely young, and they're not going to give up. So to me, this is once again another game the Detroit Lions would have lost pretty much my entire life, but they found a way to stay in the football game despite all of the just very weird interceptions by Jared Goff, just all the weird turnovers by this team. The defense did what they needed to do, put the offense in a position to at least try to scrape back, and that's exactly what ended up happening. So you'll take it. The Lions will take it. The Lions fans will take this game. We'll look back at this game 2-3 weeks from now, and nobody will give a single rat's ass about it. I guarantee you. Folks, the Detroit Lions are 8-2 for the first time since 1962. That's a nice little rhyme there. But before we get into it, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Lions fans, if we could try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. So just a real slippy game. And considering they were playing in Detroit in a dome, I don't mean it was, slippery conditions. It was just such a weird football game. But I seriously can't emphasize this enough. The Detroit Lions are way ahead of schedule. At this point last season, I don't have their actual schedule in front of me, but if we were 10 games in, what weren't they, like 4-6? That's not as bad as it seems. But you keep in mind, this is a team that started horribly last season. They started 1-6, and this team's still trying to figure out how to win. And sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes I think it's usually a little bit flipped. 2 interceptions from Jared Goff on the first 2 possessions of the game. However, they only gave up 7 points in the first quarter. Some way, somehow, they bounced back, even though it felt like the Lions pretty much never had the football except for the end of the second quarter and the end of the fourth quarter. It literally felt like this Lions team never had the football. And it's not like Chicago was necessarily impressing me. They were just running the football. A lot of stupid, boneheaded secondary mistakes. Guys like Brian Branch just holding on to players for too long. Those are things you need to clean up, but those are easily fixable things. Typically the Lions are up like 24-10 or 28-10 or 28-14 or something like that at halftime. And then they get a little bit passive in the second half to try to give up as least amount of opportunities for the opposing team to come back and crawl into that football game. Today was pretty much the exact flip-flop. Once again, the Chicago Bears held the ball for 40 minutes and 24 seconds compared to the Detroit Lions 19-36. However, the Detroit Lions actually outgained the Bears, 338 total yards to 334. They were almost perfect. They were phenomenal in third down today. Phenomenal in third down, 8 of 11. And, I know Jared Goff made some mistakes. Particularly, I felt like it was more so bad luck. Like his last interception, the ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. His first interception was Laporta pretty much just got hit and the whole route was just kind of kiboshed right there. So I'm not looking too much into that because especially in the fourth quarter, mainly the last 5 minutes of the football game, they came out there and they scored back-to-back touchdowns. So they put up touchdowns when they needed to. In between, everything outside of the last couple of minutes or just the second quarter in general and the last couple of minutes of the fourth quarter, it was definitely a game to forget. But at the end of the day, nobody's drawing the panic flag here, or at least I'm not drawing the panic flag here. We'll look back at this game when the Detroit Lions finished their season 13-4, and it'll just be a fond memory. It'll be a laugh. It'll be something you laugh at, I remember that Bears game when we were a little bit worried about how that game ended. Think back to that Ravens blowout a couple of weeks ago. It's 18 games. or 18 weeks. You play 17 games. Like, no team is going to be perfect for all 17 regular season games you play. Even take a look at a team like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, these are teams that struggle. Sometimes you just don't have your best stuff. Sometimes you just don't have the sauce. And even though they didn't have any sauce, they certainly had the chicken. And, even though I'd prefer to have a little bit of sauce, I'm still going to eat chicken, especially if it's fried, if it's handed right in front of me. So at the end of the day, they won, and they won ugly. And good/great teams find ways to win ugly. So let's take a look at some statistics here. David Montgomery, revenge game, 12 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, not too much action today, but we have to reiterate the fact that the Detroit Lions didn't really have too many opportunities in having the ball in their hands this afternoon. So Jahmyr Gibbs, 8 carries for 36 yards and a touchdown. Jared Goff at the end of the day, 23 of 35, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Huge touchdown pass from Jameson Williams, 32-yard touchdown, pretty much with like 4-ish minutes left in the game when the Detroit Lions were, I wasn't necessarily thinking the Lions were going to lose this game, but I wasn't necessarily thinking the Lions were going to win this game. At that point in time, Jared Goff throws a bomb, 32 yards to a wide open Jameson Williams. This is huge for confidence. This is huge for momentum. I'm not worried about guys like Jared Goff. I'm not worried about guys like David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, et cetera, et cetera. I want to get my young players as much confidence as I possibly can in the second half of the season, so that come playoff time, they're ready to go and that they're locked in. And that's what we saw from that touchdown pass, or that touchdown catch rather, from Jameson Williams. Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to be a star wide receiver number 1 in the National Football League. 8 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, although he only saw 8 carries in the rushing game, he had 6 catches for 59 yards. I also love just the high IQ play he had in around the 2-minute warning, where he caught a ball, juked a dude in the middle of the field, and just ran to the other side to get out of bounds. That's just high IQ right there. Those are guys I want on my football team. Defensively, it took a little bit of time to try to contain Justin Fields. Justin Fields giving Dan Campbell nightmares, as we know. Brian Branch made some really nice tackles. However, he made some really bad penalties. Cameron Sutton with a beautiful forced fumble, but more importantly, as the game was coming down to the wire, 2 players, Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson, just getting critical sacks. Aiden Hutchinson with that forced fumbled sack, which ended up leading to a safety. They just stepped up when they needed to. That really is all that I need to say at the end of the day. So I'm going to take the win. I assume Lions fans are also going to take the win, because you're sitting here at 8-2 for the first time since 1962. So what does that do for you? Well, for me, it's I can't think of a rhyme, but you get the point here. Guys, that's it for today. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.